Indians' 2015 road odyssey ends today in Kansas City, and the Indians stand over the 500 mark for the first time since their opening series in Houston. The Indians sit 3 games behind the Astros in the wild card race, and as we approach the season's final week, it's anyone's guess who will claim that last postseason berth. The Tribe only knows one thing: it's win and go home, as their 2015 all-encompassing trip ends next on Sports Time Ohio. It is another gorgeous day today in Kansas City, Missouri, and this afternoon at Kauffman Stadium. The Indians and the Royals will wrap up their weekend series. Final road game of the season for the Tribe as the Indians go for the sweep of Kansas City. Hi again, everybody. Along with Rick Manning, I'm Al Pulowski. Yesterday, the Indians, another win. Today, they'll try to get it done behind the pitching of Danny Salazar.
Well, Danny Salazar, if you remember in his last start on this road trip, it was a non-call that hurt him for strike 3. Didn't get the call. The Twins ended up going on getting 3 runs, and that's all they needed to win that ball game. So he's going to have to bounce back here against Kansas City. 2-1 against them on the year. His one loss did come in this ballpark, but Danny's been throwing the ball very well. Good fastball and split change, and you can see 174 in the 3rd innings. He's 14 strikeouts away from 200. He may not get it today, but I think he'll get it before the season's over. And Danny just needs to win 13-9. He wanted to get to 15 before this year is over, so he's got to win his last 2 starts.
And the Indians' offense has looked pretty good as well, scoring 15 combined runs in the last couple of games. Jose Ramirez is right in the middle of that. We'll hear more about Jose from Andre Knott when we come back. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. finish out their weekend series as the Tribe goes for the sweep today. And the offense has been going the last couple of nights. Jose Ramirez a very big part of that. Let's head down to the field. Andre Knott, how about Jose lately?
Jose has been a lot of fun to watch, especially on this trip. Since he was recalled, he's hitting 275. Throw that number out. He has 14 extra base hits since then. And last night he told me it's all about confidence. He says, I'm letting the ball get a little deeper as I'm up to bat. And he goes, and I believe in my legs and hands. And he goes, I'm finally playing like the player I thought I could be earlier this year. Tight enough.
Oh, Ramirez is really has been very good hitting extra base hits, and he's hitting it from both sides of the plate. Where right-handed, he was struggling earlier, but you can see the 372 average in his last 13 games. 3 homers. You don't expect home runs for him. 7 ribbies. You like that. He's been in the top of the lineup. He's scoring the runs, and that's your job. You get on base for the guys that can drive you home, and he's been fun to watch. And he's played very good at third base, and when he's played second, he's been very good there as well.
Yeah, Jose Ramirez, impressive numbers, as you can see there in his last 13 games. We'll see if that can continue today here at Kauffman Stadium as Danny Salazar will take the mound for the Tribe. Can he hold the Royals in check? Starting lineups and first pitch for today's game. Straight ahead. Private Royals on a sun-splashed Sunday afternoon here in Kansas City, Missouri. Final road game of the season for the Tribe. 7 at home coming up this week. 4 against the Twins, 3 against the Red Sox. But as for today, the Indians will try to sweep this series against Kansas City with a win. Let's take a look at the Indians lineup presented by Progressive Insurance. And here's what Terry Francona will send out today. Jason Kipnis, Francisco Lindor, and then Michael Brantley, who's back in the lineup. But by the way, look at what Francisco Lindor has done against the Royals this season. Cleanup batter today, Carlos Santana. Then it's Chisenhall and Almonte in the middle portion of the order. Johnson, Ramirez, and Perez, the bottom third.
And today's Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher is going to be Chris Young. Chris Young takes the hill for the first time in his first start since July 28th. It's his 17th start, and that start on July 28th came against the Cleveland Indians in Cleveland, where he was able to go 4 2/3 innings, 5 hits, allowed 1 run. He left the game tied at 1-1 and had a no decision in that one. He is 2-1 in his career against the Indians. He's 0-1 this year, but this is a big guy, 6'10", fastball. He's tough to hit. He doesn't give up a lot of hits. And he's a high fastball guy, and it gets on you because of his height. But we'll see. He's been out of the bullpen for the most part. So at home, he's 5-4 with an ERA of 4, and has had 13 outings and just 8 starts here at the K this year. Let's check out the defense behind him this afternoon, and it looks like this. Brought to you by Ram. In the outfield, it's going to be Dyson getting the start in left field. Kane is in center. Rios over in right. Moustakas at third. Escobar at short. Colon gets the start at second today. Osmer is at first, and Perez behind the plate.
Umpires for today's game. Ed Hickox calls the balls and strikes. Paul Nauert's at first base. Dana Dubuque, the crew chief, is at second. Mike Estabrook is at third. Let's take a look at our window systems. Game time temps, 75 degrees right now. Perfect day today in Kansas City. The weather forecast not bad. Partly cloudy. Bit of a breeze blowing right to left, but overall another gorgeous day. We've had a gorgeous weekend here in KC.
Yes, we certainly have. And it's been fun baseball-wise, too, because they won the first 2 games and trying to go for the sweep today.
That was Carlos Carrasco with a career-high 15 strikeouts on Friday night. Yesterday, the Indians scored 9 runs. Today, what will we see? Jason Kipnis will lead it off for the Tribe. Kip 4 for 10 in this series with a double. Run batted in, couple of runs scored. He takes strike 1 from Chris Young. Kipnis in his career against Young, pretty good numbers. 6 for 12 with a homer and 3 runs batted in.
You know, you look at Young and you say, boy, what makes this guy so tough? He's not overpowering, but he's 6'10", and I guess he short arms it, and that ball gets on you much quicker than, you know, when he throws. He throws about 89 miles an hour. Nothing. He's got a slow curveball to take you off the high fastball. But the one thing the Indians did very good in one start that he had, they stole a lot of bases. So if you get on first base, look for them to do some running today.
2-2 to the Tribe leadoff hitter, Jason Kipnis. A swing and a miss. First strikeout today for Chris Young. Let's take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. As you were talking about, Rick, lay off that Young high fastball, and for Danny Salazar, that fastball changeup combo, and he has that working well. He's tough to hit.
Oh, he sure is. He didn't have his changeup early in his last start against Minnesota. It came around, but it was only 1 inning that haunted him.
Here's Francisco Lindor back in the 2-hole today. He had been hitting third with Michael Brantley out of the lineup, but Brantley returns today. So that puts Lindor back between Kipnis and Brantley in the top third of the Tribe order. Frankie batting .359 since the All-Star break. On the ground to first. Hosmer to Young. 2 outs. So Dr. Smooth returns to the lineup today. Andre Knott, good to see him back.
Good to see him back. Now, this came down about an hour and a half ago. Terry Francona did not make a lineup out because he wanted to make sure, after going through everything, that Michael Brantley could play. Michael wanted to play yesterday, but they waited patiently. He went through batting practice. Everything feels all right. They're going to let him play. No soreness. And the extension, Rick, is what they're really worried about. When he extends his hands after his swing, is what was bothering him most. So hopefully that won't be a problem today.
Now let's take a look and see how his approach is. Well, he stays on the baseball anyway. It's not like he pulls off and tries to pull everything, and he stays on it. Stay right up the middle. Be yourself.
Brantley's first action since Tuesday. Sends that one to left, but foul and into the seats. Injured his right shoulder.
I was going to say it's the right one, and that's when you do get the extension and follow through. He went to the backhand side on that diving catch in Minnesota, and it was in that Salazar start.
Hits that one hard to center field. Kane going back, still going back on the track. He'll make the catch as Brantley gave it a ride. It's at the deepest part of the ballpark. And the Indians go 3 up, 3 down. Royals coming to bat. Bottom of the first inning in Kansas City. Tribe went 3 up, 3 down in the top half. Let's take a look at the Royals lineup presented by Toyota. A little bit different today than yesterday with Alcides Escobar leading off. Alex Gordon down to the 2-hole. Then it's Kane, Hosmer, and Perez. And you see what Hosmer has done in his career against Danny Salazar. Mike Moustakas batting 6th. Then Alex Rios, Christian Colon. We saw him on Friday night. And Gerard Dyson, whom we also saw on Friday night.
Danny Salazar is our Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher, making his 29th start this year. And against Kansas City, it'll be his 4th start. He's 2-1 in his first 3 starts, an ERA of 4.05. In his career, he's 4-4. The only game he pitched here, he lost this year. He went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 runs. No walks and 9 strikeouts.
Alcides Escobar, first pitch swinging to center. Abe Almonte right there for the first out.
Let's check that Indians defense for you behind Salazar today. It'll be Brantley back in left field. Almonte in center. Chisenhall is in right. He had a little leg issue yesterday. Ramirez is at third. Lindor at short. Kipnis at second. Santana at first with Perez doing the catching.
Here's Alex Gordon, who was 1 for 3 last night from the leadoff spot. He's on base twice. Also drove in a Royal run. Salazar working quickly here in the first, Rick. Two and two to Gordon. Yeah, swing and a miss. First strikeout for Danny Salazar. 2 outs here in the first inning for Kansas City.
Well, Danny's not easing into this one. Let's check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker. It's a 97-mile-an-hour heater down at the knees and on the outside part of the plate. And you get the swing and a miss. Great location. Strikeout number 1.
Here's Lorenzo Cain, 0 for 4 last night. KC center fielder had a couple of multi-hit nights on Wednesday and Thursday. Yet Friday off with the rest of most of the starters for Kansas City after the clinch. He was swinging for the highway on that one. 2 and 2.
Swinging for the highway and got the changeup down low at the knees. That's where you want to keep it all day long.
Cain stays alive. Danny Salazar last time out against Minnesota on Tuesday night didn't pitch badly at all. Gave up those 3 runs in the 3rd inning. Questionable call extended that inning. Outside of that, he was pretty strong.
Well, all 3 coming. You're right. It was just the one call that I think upset him. It was 2 out, nobody on. Ended up walking a guy on a pitch that we thought was strike 3. There you go. Just a little bit down in the strike zone. A good changeup. Keep it there all day, though. That's good.
On the ground, past Santana into right field, a base hit for Cain with 2 outs here in the first inning.
You're talking about that last start. Here's 2 outs, nobody on. It's a 3-2 count right there. Ended up walking Escobar. Look at the look on his face. And then after that, it just Minnesota opened it up, got 3 extra base hits. They put 3 on the board, and that's how that's all they needed in that ball game. And it happened so quickly to him. It was sad to see because he did go 6 innings in that game. 5 hits, the 3 runs, all coming in that 3rd inning.
Here's Eric Hosmer, Kansas City first baseman. Salazar keeps Cain close at first. Hosmer snapped a 7-game hitting streak last night. He was 0 for 4. Let's take a look at Arcia in the driver's seat. That's Eric Hosmer and what he's done against the Tribe this year with those 5 homers. He's been especially effective. Twenty runs batted in as well.
He had Dozier in Minnesota that's done that. About 5 guys have done that. Abreu with Chicago, Cabrera with Detroit. have hit at least 5 against the Tribe this year.
And he's not getting cheated on his swings here in the first inning.
He never does.
0-2 to Hosmer. Plays off the high heat. 98 miles per hour on that one for Dan.
Tried to get him to chase it just a little out of the strike zone, but it's good pitch 0-2 because you change the eye level for him, and now he could go with another good fastball up or in, or he could come back with his changeup down.
There goes the runner. Hosmer fouls it off.
Came back with another heater.
Lorenzo Cain this year 28 of 34 on stolen bases.
Yeah, and it's a good time to run with Hosmer. He's up there protecting with 2 strikes. Cain, a good base stealer, so if he steals it, the base hit could score him. If he gets picked off, then Hosmer comes back and leads off next inning.
Staying put this time, and the pitch is low for ball 2.
I think that's the pitch Cain wanted to run on. He thought was coming last pitch, except he doubled up with the fastball.
Swing and a miss. So Hosmer is Salazar's second strikeout victim. Base hit for Lorenzo Cain, but no damage in the first inning for KC. Salazar strong after 1.
Catch Indians baseball with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Top of the second inning here at Kauffman Stadium. Scoreless game. Carlos Santana, Lonnie Chisenhall, Abe Almonte. Hitters 4, 5, and 6 in the Tribe order. Santana drives that one to right, but Rios is there. 1 out here in the second. Let's take a look at our injury report, brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk and Elk. Well, for the Angels, their bullpen is hurting. Houston Street last night, Rick, I think we all were watching that game back at the hotel, and he went out trying to cover third with his groin, probably going to be out for the postseason.
Oh, he is. He's done for the year.
Joe Smith great setup man for them. He hasn't pitched in a while.
You're looking at your 8th inning guy and your closer that have been down. So the Angels could be in trouble, and they were half a game, or they are half a game going into today behind Houston.
They won that game last night with a walk-off. David Freese in the bottom of the 9th inning broke a 2-2 tie. You
see the catch that Trout made last night in that game?
I did. I think we might see that in just a few moments here.
You think so?
I'll tell you what, now? One of the best I've ever seen.
It was, yeah, it was good. It was beyond that.
There's Lonnie Chisenhall, Indians right fielder. You know, and sometimes, Rick, you see some great catches, but he got so high to make that catch, and the way he used the wall was just so impressive. Chisenhall drives that one to center. However, Kane is there to track it down. And speaking of Mike Trout, let's take a look at our AT&T U-verse rewind. Here it is from yesterday.
He was up and waits. He waited for it to come down. He was halfway up the wall and up to the waist, and goes back and brings it back into play. What a catch.
He is just so athletic.
Well, you know, and that wall out in L.A. is perfect for him to get up and over it, you know. You can time your leap like it is in Baltimore, and he made another catch like that a couple of years ago in Baltimore. But, yeah, that was something special to see.
That was a home run that wasn't going to just make it over the wall either. That was several feet above the wall.
Well, they ended up winning that game 2-1, so they would have at least had one more if it wasn't for him. Put that in the RBI column for him.
Yep.
Or 3-2.
Here's Abe Almonte showing bunt, taking for a strike. It's 1-1 on the tribe. Center fielder, who's 2 for 6 in the series with a double, couple of walks, couple of runs batted in. He scored 3 runs, and he hit the homer the other night. Chris Young trying to make quick work of the tribe here in the second. They're underway in Houston. The Rangers lead that one 1-0. Dallas Keuchel on the mound today for the Astros. Seattle and Los Angeles coming up at 3:35. On the ground to second. Cologne. Indians again go 3 up, 3 down. We move to the bottom of the second inning. Still scoreless in KC. Five, 6, and 7 for the Royals. Salvador Perez followed by Moustakas and Rios. Another packed house today here at Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah, their final home game of the season in regular season.
They were estimating the attendance around 2.7 million for this season. Back up the middle for Perez, but Kipnis right there to throw him out for out number 1.
Boy, this ball got right over the head of Salazar. I thought it was a base hit, and then I look and see that Kipnis is right there behind second base. So one thing defenses do now, they take a lot of base hits that are right up the middle. Used to be base hits before, with a lot of the shifts in the way they play hitters.
Speaking of shifts, we see another one here for Mike Moustakas. This time Kipnis will go well out into right field. It's basically the one we saw last night with Jose Ramirez midway between the third baseman and shortstop position.
He'll move over more probably when he gets to 2 strikes.
Yep. The outfield is straight away.
But he had a double yesterday down the line. Remember that ball that was elevated and he sliced it the other way, ground rule double. But when you look at the hits by direction, you can see he's gone to left field a lot this year. 47 times, 45 up the middle, and he's pulled more. 54 hits to right.
And there goes Ramirez. He'll move now to the shortstop position. And Rick, are you surprised when you take a look at those numbers that the Indians still would employ this shift?
No, I mean, like I said, it all depends on how you've been hitting lately. Let me know what you've done the last 10 days. He's not the same hitter he was back in April. You know, it changes. There you go. Roll over.
On the ground to first.
That's why they shift.
Defense was perfect for him. Second out. Well, the Indians' road season concludes today. They have 7 more home games, but here are some numbers. The 42 wins thus far, that's the best since 2007. How about the ERA and the opposing batting average?
Well,
and the strikeouts.
I'll tell you, if they had some offense on the road, they'd have more than 42 wins, a lot more, because they pitched very well on the road.
Of course, the problem was the runs, the fewest runs on the road since 1989. So a pretty good season on the road. But if they could have scored just a few more runs with this pitching, how good?
I know it. I mean, that's the one thing that I think they have to work on in the offseason. You got to think offensively and scoring some more runs on a consistent basis, because their pitching is going to be pretty much the same.
1-1 to the Royals right fielder Alex Rios. That was a good thing too. Corey Kluber was just saying it last night, how nice it is that these guys should be together, at least contractually. They're set up to be together for a while.
Yeah, and add a few pieces. They could use some more, some help in the bullpen. Then again, you know, all bullpens need to be retooled, seems like, after every year for the most part. Their starters are intact.
The next several seasons too, which is impressive, with Kluber, Carrasco, Salazar. Bauer as well will be under team control. So will Josh Tomlin, Cody Anderson. To right center, Lonnie Chisenhall. 3 up, 3 down for the Royals in the second. We move to the third. Still no score.
Fans at Progressive Field, there's $13 district tickets presented by Sports Time Ohio. They are available for the final homestand this week. Tickets available, Indians.com.
Top of the third here in KC, along with Rick Manning and Andre Knott. I'm Al Pulowski, Jim Murphy producing, Pat Murray directing, and a cast of too many to mention that are doing an outstanding job behind the scenes.
You can't do that. Murphs, he's upset it took you to the third inning today.
I know. I was a little tired.
He feels slighted. Pat, no, don't. Pat loved it. He loves all the love. It's his last road game.
Last road game for Uncle Pat.
Yes, indeed. Sad day.
Chris Johnson hits the 2-0 pitch to left. Hits it well, but it's foul. Just foul. It'll be Johnson, Ramirez, and Perez, bottom third of the Tribe batting order. As Chris Young has retired the first 6 Indians today. Three and 1 to Johnson. Chris 1 for 8 in this series. Stays alive as he fouls off that pitch off speed. To right center, shallow. Now it drifts more towards right. Alex Rios calls it in for the first out. We're on the countdown to face-off for the Columbus Blue Jackets opening night against the New York Rangers, only a dozen days away. It's on the home of the Blue Jackets, Fox Sports Ohio. Columbus rides a 12-0-1 streak to end last year into the season opener. So that's coming up very, very soon. Jose Ramirez the batter with 1 out, nobody on.
Young, a fly ball pitcher because he throws a lot of high fastballs, and he likes using the big part of the ballpark here, letting his defense go get it.
And Jose Ramirez, an excellent road trip. In this series, he's 5 for 10. He's down in the count here. Renzo Cain has him played to pull severely. He's well into right center.
No, he'll probably see some off-speed pitches then. There it is, a breaking ball.
Hits it to right center. Will anybody get there? Cain on the run. He did in the gap. Boy, he had a long way to go, and if he didn't have him shaded, wouldn't have had a chance.
Well, that guy can run down some mistakes over there. That was like his double or triple the other night he hit into the gap. Except this time, watch where he starts from and watch where he ends up. He's on a dead sprint. That's got to be about 100 feet where he chases that ball down and makes the play. Those long strides, gets to the track. Ramirez hit it well. Taken from an extra base hit by Lorenzo Cain.
So 8 in a row retired by Chris Young. Roberto Perez the batter says, now where should I go? How about this side? Well, he had him played perfectly, and then he played the ball perfectly too, and he's an awfully good defensive center fielder.
Well, there's a lot of ground to cover out there in this outfield, but when you have Dyson today out in left field, he can cover it. He's a center fielder by trade, and you got Rios in right. He can still go get him. This might be the largest or the most space in the outfield to cover of any ballpark, I think, as far as gap to gap, down the lines.
Oh, you've got to have a good defensive outfield for the Royals here.
Fast guys that can throw and hit their cutoff men.
2-0 to Perez. Roberto was off last night, but on Friday he was 1 for 4. Didn't want to, but it's now 2-1.
You see, he was looking for a 2-0 heater, and he throws him the slider, and he started, and he couldn't hold up. So he ended up continuing. Not the pitch he wanted to swing at. He comes back with a little changeup. So he went from a good hitter's count to being back to even now.
Count goes full to Perez. And while mainly has been a backup for the Tribe, there were those 6 weeks he filled in for Gomes as a starter. But he's still 5th among American League catchers with 33 walks. In fact, he's had 2 3-walk games this year, so he's patient. He swings and misses there. And it's another 3-up, 3-down inning for Chris Young and the Royals. But this inning, he got some help from Lorenzo Cain, who ran down a Jose Ramirez double bid. They go to the bottom of the 3rd, scoreless. Later in the game, it's brought to you by Miller Lights. Bottom of the 3rd inning here at Kauffman Stadium. Gorgeous day today in Kansas City. We have had perfect weather this weekend. It'll be Colon, Dyson, and Escobar. Hitters 8, 9, and 1 for KC. We've had just 1 runner combined, 1 base runner for either side. It was Lorenzo Cain with a single back in the 1st inning. That's been it. Otherwise, the bases have been empty. Colon played on Friday night for the Royals at shortstop. Today he's at 2nd. He went 0 for 2 against Carrasco as Carlos threw that 1-hitter on Friday, but he did get one of his 2 walks. On the ground, in the hole, Lindor gets there. Can he throw him out? Not in time. Santana couldn't scoop it anyway. And a leadoff infield single for Christian Colon here in the 3rd.
Well, it was a good play. Lindor, he got to it. He just couldn't get enough on that throw because he was really deep in the hole. And by the time Colon gets over there, he just beats it out. Even if Santana holds on to it, he would have been safe. So that's the 2nd hit for Kansas City. Good effort by Lindor.
Royals with speed here. Got Colon at first. He's got some. They've got a lot at home play with Dyson, who tries to lay it down, but pops the bunt back and out of play. Dyson 0 for 4 on Friday night. Didn't play last night. But get the bunt down again, and that one got a piece of Roberto Perez.
That's the thing. When you know a guy's going to bunt, and Salazar made a nice pitch there because he went up with a high fastball. That's the toughest pitch to bunt because it's up, up here, and a lot of times you pop it up. He popped the first one up, and that's a ball. So actually, Dyson should have taken that pitch. He'd be even the count, but he tried to bunt it, so now he's down 0-2, and I'm sure he'll be swinging. So out goes Perez to talk to Salazar. See what they want to do with him. That's the first thing when you get into a sacrifice situation is make sure you get a strike to bunt.
Well, he's down 0-2. Jose Ramirez, though, remains about even with the bag. However, he's backed up about 10 feet from where he was. Dyson sends that one harmlessly to right field.
Yeah, take the sting out of it.
One out here in the third. And back to the top of the order now, Alcides Escobar. But how about Danny Salazar and the way he's come along this year, Andre? He's really done a nice job.
He has done a nice job. And you go back to the last start, and I know you guys have talked about the bad inning. And I know Mickey Callaway and Terry Francona weren't enthused with how he reacted to the calls made by the umpire. But the one thing they took away from it, a lot of times it's snowballed on Danny when he has a bad inning. He came back from that inning and really showed something. And the thing that really stood out, he threw a lot of off-speed pitches and found his changeup late. Rick, usually when he doesn't have that changeup early, he goes away from it. And that last start, he was throwing it better late in the game than he did early, and that's a big jump for him.
Hey, I have no problem with what he did. He didn't show up the umpire or anything. He might have talked about it after the ball game to him. But I'll tell you what, nobody mentioned the fact that Perkins got thrown out of the ball game when Santana hit a home run to get him back into the game, and they lost. He came into the umpire. He was ejected, and nobody even mentioned it. Here's an all-star and a veteran. And they said something about Salazar. So I don't blame Danny. That cost him a ball game.
It was on Wednesday night when Santana hit that 2-run homer off Perkins, and he thought he had a strike the pitch before.
Hey, the whole series we saw pitches down the middle that were called balls.
So it's 1-1 to Alcides Escobar. Lined out to center field. His first time up. He's having a pretty good homestand, batting .438. Seattle and Cleveland, the opponents.
Well, this is a guy that finds a way to get the bat on the ball. He scuffled at times. They had him in the leadoff spot. They got him back out of there once Gordon came back. But today, with Zobrist out of the lineup, he's back in the leadoff spot, and they move Gordon to number 2.
Salazar left that one upstairs. 2-1 now to Escobar.
He's a guy that finds a way to get the barrel of the bat to the baseball. He can hit a pitch off the plate, inside. He's a good hit and run man. He can bunt. But he has had his struggles this year.
We're in the bottom of the second in Houston. Rangers lead that one 1-0. Houston with the second wild card spot. The Indians entered today 3 behind. There's also a couple of teams between the Astros and the Tribe. The Twins, the Angels. Indians will see Minnesota coming up this week. Close out the season. It's a 7-game homestand. 4 against the Twins Monday through Thursday night at Progressive Field. All the games at 7. Indians Live will get you started with the coverage at 6:30 on Sports Time Ohio. But important series coming up.
Got him.
Yep. Great pickoff move. Colon was frozen as Santana runs him down. He just stood there. He wasn't ready for it that time.
Well, what happened, he took that extra step out, and when he was making that step, Salazar threw behind him. So you're going to see one more step. There he was. He was going, and he's caught. No, sir. He thought he had him timed. So Danny continues. He held that ball for a split second more, then goes to first. No chance. It didn't even have to make a throw. So a pickoff 1-3. Or does that go as a caught stealing?
Yeah, caught stealing 1-3. Just the second time Cologne's been caught stealing this year. He's 3 for 5 now in stolen bases. So Salazar erases that problem at first. 2 outs and nobody on for Escobar, who's ahead in the count. That one popped out of play. Santana will give it a look, but it's in the seats. So here's a look at the wild card standings entering play today as the Indians are trying to track down the Houston Astros. There are the Angels, just a half game back after their walk-off win last night thanks to David Freese in the 9th. And the Minnesota Twins are right there too. Now the other teams are 5 and further back, teams like the Rays and Orioles behind the Tribes. So this is your race right now in the wild card.
Well, and when you have 3 teams to overcome, as the Indians do, and I knew he was going to get a base hit. I wanted to bet you because you get picked off.
Always happens.
Oh, no question. So a 2-out single now by Escobar. Just puts it in play. Like I said, he can hit a ball off the plate, which that was. He didn't try and do too much. Just takes what the pitcher gives him, slaps it to right, gets the base hit. 3 hits now for the Royals.
So that pickoff of Colon looms larger now as there are still 2 outs. Alex Gordon, the batter, he struck out his first time up.
But getting back to that wild card, the Indians have to win every game. Just keep winning. Don't worry about anything else.
And of course, that's not easy to do, Rick. But in 2013, they did win their last 10 to close out the season.
Well, the thing of it is, they had pretty much the way it has been on this road trip, but they lost 2 out of 3 from Minnesota. They've won 2 here, so they've won 3 in a row overall, trying to make it a sweep, and then head home where they've been playing very good baseball.
Margin for error is very thin right now. As Alex Gordon pops that one out of play. Now, the one good thing about playing Minnesota, that is one of the teams in front of you have to catch. So if you take care of business and you win, you don't have to worry about the Twins. Problem is you need some help from others with the Astros and the Angels.
Take care of what you can take care of.
Fairly short lead for Escobar. Gordon to center field. That'll be an easy play for Almonte. Royals retired here in the 3rd inning. Couple of singles, but they can't cash in. We'll head to the 4th. Scoreless.
Well, there'll be $10 bleacher seats, the final homestand of the year out at Progressive Field. The next 7 back at home starting tomorrow night. 4 against Minnesota, 3 with Boston, are going to be $10. Go to Indians.com to get your tickets.
9 straight set down by Chris Young. Top of the order here in the 4th. Kipnis, Lindor, and Brantley. Scoreless game today here at Kauffman Stadium. Indians, Royals. Tribe looking for the sweep. Jason Kipnis, a strikeout victim his first time up. Takes strike 1 here. Kip on a 4-game hitting streak. 6 for his last 18 during the 4 games plus the 1 at bat today. Hits that one to left. Dyson tracks back. 1 out here in the 4th inning. Francisco Lindor will be the batter. Grounded out to first. His first time up. Let's take a look at our Buick stat of the game. And the highest average for a rookie in season. And when you got shoeless Joe Jackson there at the top at 408 from 1911, and you're only, what, 5 behind him, 6 behind him. That's pretty impressive.
Well, he's had a very good and a fun first year to watch.
It's that one well to center, but Lorenzo Cain there easily and makes it look easy with those long strides. Well, the Indians have hit some balls pretty well against Young, but his outfield's done a nice job.
Well, that's, you pitch accordingly. Pitch to the ballpark you have. It's like when you go to Tiger Stadium or something. If you're a fly ball pitcher, the guys want to hit him in the air, make him use the big part of the ballpark, alley to alley, and so far he has done that. He has 2 ground ball outs. Lindor the first time up, it was a 3-1, and then Almonte rolled over on an off-speed pitch into a 4-3. Other than that, it's been in the air and 2 strikeouts.
11 in a row retired by Chris Young. Here's Michael Brantley, who hit the ball over 400 feet his last time up. The problem was he hit it to the deepest part in the ballpark, which is 410. His ball went about 406. Cain hauled it in for the 3rd out of the 1st inning. Good to see Michael back in the lineup for the first time since Tuesday night when he had to leave early after he injured that shoulder on a diving catch attempt in left field. When you look at Michael Brantley's stats and his splits, what's so impressive about him is how consistent everything is. Against lefties, 300. Righties, 323. At home, 321. On the road, 306. There's not very wide margins there, and that just goes to his consistency.
Well, he's steady. He sees the same every day. He uses the whole field. It doesn't matter left or right. He's a good 2-strike hitter. Leads the league in doubles with 45. Uses the whole field.
Works the count full here with Carlos Santana on deck. And ball 4. First base runner of the day for the Tribe. A 2-out walk here in the 4th inning to Michael Brantley. That'll bring Carlos Santana to the plate, who hit it hard back in the 2nd inning. However, was right at Alex Rios in right field for the 1st out. There goes Brantley. Throw down is, they call him out.
Now they're going to look at that. I thought he was safe.
He looks safe from our vantage point, but
they're going to look at it.
Terry Francona on the top step. Michael thought he was safe as well.
I do too. I thought his foot got in there by the time they tagged him. Of course, we're sitting quite a ways away behind it. They're gonna check it out. They want to look. So. Absolutely. I thought Michael got his foot in. I mean, the throw was very good by Perez. But let's see where the tag is. Oh, he's safe.
Yeah, his foot was in.
He's safe. He got the foot in by the time he tagged him. Escobar comes in. There's the throw. Yes, he got the back foot, by the way, too. He didn't even get the front foot. He got it in there. He's going to be called safe.
Michael right away turned around and
that's what you do. You let your manager know.
Yep.
I mean, you don't do that if you know that it's close or you're not out. But he knew he was safe, so he'll get another stolen base, and that should be his 15th on the year. This should not take long.
Nope. It's funny, even the fans here, when they saw the replay up on the board, instantly they kind of had a collective sigh.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, he's safe.
They know it, and the guys are staying out there. The players watch it themselves. You know, so you can't tell from the shot behind Brantley, but you can certainly tell from like the third base angle where he gets the foot in. It should take no time at all. Now they're really slowing it down on the scoreboard, but Brantley's foot is safe.
Well, 48.9% of the calls have been overturned this year heading into today.
Watch his back foot, the one that's he's sliding on, that knee. See, he touches the spike, and that front foot's already into the bag. Yeah, there you go. Let's go, fellas. It's not that tough.
So the call is overturned. The Indians challenged successful. Brantley in scoring position now with the stolen base. 2 outs for Santana. He's at the plate with an 0-1 count.
I had a feeling that would be their game plan. If you get on, let's go. Well, that's the first base runner they've had, and didn't waste any time. He went on the first pitch, and he was safe.
15th stolen base this year for Michael Brantley. He's only been caught stealing once. So an RBI opportunity for Santana. He's batting .257 with runners in scoring position this year. Indians are still looking for their first hit today. Shift is on for Santana. The hole is at shortstop. Moustakas, of course, has to be near third base with a runner on second.
The big man is starting to nibble a little bit now. I know he has first base open, but he's change-ups. He's not as aggressive. There it is. He helps him out right there. Didn't give up. Another changeup out of the zone. You have to be patient with first base open with this guy. He's a veteran. He knows.
Of Young's 54 pitches today, 32 of those have been for strikes. Santana fouls that one off. The mezzanine here on the right field side.
That's about the only fastball you're going to get is up there where it's going to be awfully tough to get up and get on top of or put it in fair territory. I think he's still going to try, and if he's going to get him out, it's going to be with something off speed. Unless Carlos chases something out of the zone. Up.
Off speed, held off.
Yes, he did, but he was thinking about it.
He was.
So that's the second straight time he's been upstairs. He's either going to go curveball or change up here, I would think.
Ground foul.
That was the changeup.
We'll see what Young comes back with here. You're right, Rick. He's been going heavy off speed to Santana.
Yeah, he doesn't want to throw a strike in this situation. You know, if he wants to make his pitch either a perfect pitch or out the zone, and if Santana doesn't want to swing it, then he'll walk him and he'll deal with Chisenhall. We got him to swing at it.
On the ground to second into that shift. Colon throws out Santana. The Indians retired here in the top of the fourth. We'll move to the bottom portion. Still no score. To tweet your strongest fan photo, use hashtag #STODataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Bottom of the fourth inning here in Kansas City. Part of the order for the Royals: Kane, Hosmer, and Perez. Hitters 3, 4, and 5. Kane singled with 2 outs in the first inning. His first time up. However, he went no further as Eric Hosmer would eventually strike out to end the inning.
Starts him out with a nice, looked like a changeup to me.
Salazar at 50 pitches, 30 of those for strikes. And he's behind Kane here. Scorched into the seats. 2-2 to Lorenzo Kane. On the ground, Salazar has to hurry. Not in time. Kane 2 for 2.
That's another weapon that Kane has. He has speed and he can get down the line. Salazar did everything in his power to get to the ball. He barehands it. He comes up in the long strides of Lorenzo Kane. He just gets to the bag just in time. Salazar made a nice play. Kane's speed beat it out. There's not much you can defend there when you top a 2-strike pitch. And it's almost like a perfect bunt. So he will start this inning off with an infield single.
So he's aboard for Eric Hosmer, who struck out his first time up. One of 2 strikeouts on the day for Danny Salazar. Fans trying to come alive for the first time this weekend, really.
Yeah. Well, they had no chance. They only had 1 hit Friday night.
Right.
They had a chance yesterday. They came back. You know, they were down 4 runs and they cut it to 1.
Hosmer tried to bunt.
He's doing us a favor. When
Absolutely.
you've had the success against Salazar like he's had, and he bunts, that's doing you a favor if you're the Indians.
This is your cleanup hit.
Well, I know. It's just something. He's going for the element of surprise right there. You know, trying to lay one down and get something going. But, you know, I'd rather see him swing the bat if I'm Ned Yost.
One and one to Hosmer.
And it looks like Kane will give him an opportunity for that hole between first and second. Remember the last time this happened with 2 outs, he took off on a 1-2 pitch that was fouled off. So it looks like he's going to remain over there and give him that hole. Changeup.
Elliot Hosmer way out in front.
Well, had the 2-1 pitch, and it's a fastball count. That's exactly what Hosmer was looking for, and it was down and in. And he's thinking, okay, that's my nitro zone, but it just never got there because it was the changeup. So really a good selection, good pitch to even the count.
Line drive, base hit, left field. Brantley going over as Kane heads to third. They're going to send him. Lindor's relay to the plate, not in time. The Royals on the board first. It's an RBI double for Eric Hosmer.
That's why I'm saying if you're Hosmer, and remember he tried bunting the first pitch. He finally got a fastball, and what did he do with it? He stayed on it and hit it down the line. That was at 98. And with the speed of Kane, he's able to score from first base. He's off and running, so you're going to have to play it well, get it into your cutoff man, but not in time. Here comes Lindor. He gets it, but by the time he could throw it home, Kane beats it out. So Kansas City on the board first here in the 4th. 2 straight hits, an infield single, now an RBI double.
Right back up the middle. Base hit. Hosmer touches third. They'll hold him right there. Salmonte comes up throwing. And now the Royals have runners at the corners with nobody out. 3 consecutive hits for KC.
Well, Perez, he doesn't take. When you get runners in scoring position, he's a very aggressive hitter. Takes it right back up the middle. Hosmer couldn't get a good jump, so he can only move up 1 base. 3 straight hits. They have runners at the corners. This is where Salazar has got to settle in. Minimize damage here.
Mike Moustakas the batter. Grounded out to first. His first time up. Royals already with 1 home here in the 4th. Trying to have a big inning. One and one the count now to Mike Moustakas. one is foul, so Salazar is ahead of Moustakas here, 1-2.
Now you got a chance to go for a punch out, first and third, and he could use it. See if you can keep that man at third base. He's done a nice job against Moustakas in his career. Moustakas just 4 for 21. Struck him out 3 times. He could use one right here.
3 consecutive hits to open the 4th for KC. Moustakas drills it, but foul.
Boy, he was ready for that heater, wasn't he? Down and in.
He turned on it.
And these guys, they're aggressive. Boy, they get into that hitting mode, and they don't take a lot of pitches. They see their fastball, they get after it. I thought he would go with a changeup. Now Perez is going to go out and have a talk to him. They got to get on the same page. You've got to minimize the damage here and can't let a big inning happen.
The Royals at the corners. Nobody out. 1-2 to Moustakas, who has 76 runs batted in on the year. Fly ball should get him number 77. Salazar is hoping for the strikeout. On the ground, Kipnis, great diving stop, but his only play is at first. So Moustakas gets the job done. A run scores. Perez moves up to second, and it's 2-0 Kansas City.
Well, nice play by Kipnis. His only play was first base. You can't go behind the runner right there when you're diving going toward first base. You just get it up, get it to Santana. The run will score. Another runner goes into scoring position.
So 2 runs home for Kansas City here in the 4th. They now lead at 2-0. Alex Rios, the batter, who flew out to right field his first time up. And he'll bat with the runner in scoring position. Though not one that is very fleet of foot in Salvador Perez at second. Royals trying to avoid the sweep today. The Indians won Friday night and Saturday night. Rios to right, but foul. Again, Salazar ahead in the count here, 1-2, just as he was to Mike Moustakas, a batter earlier. Rios batting .317 during day games this year. I'd love to come up with his second hit of the series right here. He's only 1 for 8 this weekend. That one just missed, so the count runs full. Christian Colon would be next. Rios pops it up.
There you go. That should stay in play.
Here the Royals dugout. Santana hauls it in. So a big second out here for Danny Salazar. Let's head back to our Cleveland studios for a Mazda game break. Jensen, what's happening in Houston? All right. Big Jensen with the update there. Those 2 runs by the Houston Astros off of Perez, both unearned. Houston trying
taking
to win.
advantage. They get an extra out, huh?
Yep. Trying to win for the 2nd straight day over the Rangers. As Colon takes strike 1. Yesterday, the Rangers were down 9-4 in the 9th inning with 2 outs and nobody on to Gregerson, and he never made it out of the 9th.
That's why
gave up 3 runs, but still the Astros got the win.
Yeah, that's why I think they're hoping that their starter's going to give them some distance today, deep into the game if he can. Dallas Keuchel.
Well, Keuchel is undefeated at home this year. He struggled on the road a little bit, but nobody's been able to beat him down in Houston. Two runs already in for Kansas City here in the 4th inning. Christian Colon an opportunity with the runner in scoring position here with 2 outs. Now Salazar falls behind 3-1. Danny has struggled to find his control here in the 4th inning. Looked pretty good through 3, but here in the 4th doesn't seem to have that same feel.
Well, the thing of it is that first top base hit, and that's what happened to him in his last start. It was 1 inning. You know, he let it get out of control, but it's only 2 runs right here. He got to reel it in.
He walks Colon.
That's the first walk of the day.
That'll bring the number 9 hitter Gerard Dyson to the plate.
You see that pitch down out of the zone, just a little low. Out comes Mickey Callaway. He wants to talk to Danny, settle him in, settle him down. Well, guarantee 2015 postseason tickets with the Tribe's playoff payoff program by placing a deposit on 2016 tickets. Fans can gain priority to this year's playoff tickets. Visit Indians.com for more details.
Well, there's some stretching going on in the Tribe bullpen, but no one has begun to throw yet. Salazar at 76 pitches. He's run into some trouble here in the 4th inning. Kansas City has played at 2, and they have 2 on with 2 out for Gerard Dyson. He flew out to right field his first time up. Dyson looking for his first hit in this weekend series. Now the second base umpire Dana DeMuth said balk, but
yeah,
home plate umpire Ed Hickok said we had time.
Yes, that is correct.
So no balk.
That's a break there for Salazar.
Dyson couldn't hold back. Salazar struggling to find the strike zone here in the 4th. Brian Webb is now throwing in the Indians bullpen. On the ground is second. Kipnis will throw out Dyson, and the Royals are retired here in the 4th inning. But they get the game's first 2 runs, and they lead it 2-0 as we head to the 5th. Your Northern Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. Royals with 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th. They take a 2-0 lead here into the top of the 5th inning. Chris Young has not surrendered a hit today. In fact, he's only surrendered 1 base runner. A 2-out walk last inning to Michael Brantley, who then stole second, but would be left there. There is some action in the Kansas City pen. Danny Duffy is getting loose. You may ask why. Well, that's because Chris Young hasn't started a game since July 28th against the Tribe.
Right.
And his last 5 appearances have been out of the pen, Rick, and the most pitches he's thrown is 53, and that's pitch number 60 right here.
Yeah, they know. I mean, he's done exactly what they wanted him to do. They have a full bullpen.
Monty Chisenhall lined out to center field, his only time up. We'll see Chisenhall, Almonte, and Johnson here in this 5th inning. Monty pops it straight up on the infield. Moustakas at third. Makes the catch for the first out. Let's take a look at our Levin player profile. How about a couple of third basemen this season? 1 in the AL, 1 in the NL, both with home runs at 40, both with RBI at 121.
How about that? 2 guys that are having, I mean, fantastic years. Arenado, somebody you don't really hear about because he's in Colorado and on the team he plays for. And then you have Donaldson, that is probably the MVP of the American League.
I think it has to be Donaldson in the American League. National League, you've got some choices, but you know, yes, Nolan Arenado perhaps the MVP, although the Rockies haven't really been in it all year. Boy, he's having a special season.
He really is having a special season, but I don't think he will be the MVP. You've got Bryce Harper that's having a nice year, although they have been eliminated. They were eliminated yesterday.
Anthony Rizzo's had a good year for the Cubs.
There's been a few guys having good years. It's going to be interesting. You look at the Cardinals, and they have the most wins in baseball, and you say, well, I don't know of anybody that it's an MVP team.
Abe Almonte pops it up.
Look at, they're battling the sun, using the glove. That's why you hustle. Almonte did a nice job to get there, even though he made an out. He was at second base if he missed it.
Second straight pop out of the inning. Quickly 2 down for Chris Johnson, the designated hitter. He flew out to right his first time up. So Chris Young has still not surrendered a hit. This is the deepest he's been in a game since late July.
You know, the thing for Salazar, too, you got to take into consideration. You talk about, oh, boy, he's given up a couple runs here, a couple runs there. He's received just 5 runs of support over his last 4 road starts.
So far, he has nothing today.
No, he's got nothing on the board is right. And he still has nothing.
To right center. Kane shading his eyes with the offhand, and he'll make the catch.
The sun's getting tough out there right now.
Sure is. Indians retired in order. We move to the bottom of the 5th. 2-0 Royals.
Rewards. Today's Tribe Rewards TV code is TribeTown. Visit Indians.com. Season tickets for complete details.
Bottom of the 5th inning for the Royals. They scored 2 in the bottom half of the 4th. They have that 2-0 lead. Top of the order. Escobar, Gordon, and Kane are due up. Escobar doesn't like that first strike call. Escobar, a line out to center. Singled his last time up. He's down in the count here, 0-2. Indians bullpen is quiet at the moment. Ryan Webb was up last inning.
Well, Salazar at 83 pitches. He should be fine. He worked hard to get through last inning. 7 hitters went to the plate.
Escobar got a piece of that one to stay alive. A piece of that?
I don't know.
What happened?
I just thought he checked his swing. I didn't know if it went off anything. Maybe it hit him on the elbow on the way back. Not sure. They're looking at it.
Checking his left arm. Escobar with 73 runs scored this year. That's second among American League shortstops. batting in the leadoff spot today. The training staff still discussing with Escobar how his left arm is feeling.
Just want to give him a little time, I believe.
They've moved to the bottom of the fifth inning in Houston. The Astros still lead the Rangers 2-1. Angels and Mariners underway. No score in the bottom of the first in Anaheim. And the Twins are thumping the Tigers in the ninth, 7-1 in Motown. 2-2 to Escobar. Indians began play today, 3 back in the wild card behind Houston. Escobar just staying alive.
Yeah, I got a piece. That was a good pitch. He got a piece to stay alive and live for another pitch. Royals today with 6 hits on the afternoon, 5 singles and a double. And it was that little infield single by Kane that got it going last inning. And Hosmer had the double. High breaking ball.
Alex Gordon on deck. The left field hit well. Brantley back on the track. He'll have room and put it away for the first out. Let's take a look at our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Royals with 2 runs here in the bottom of the fourth. Eric Hosmer, a double that got Kane home, and then Salvador Perez will get another run in. However, Jason Kipnis is able to make a nice play on it. 2-0 to score. Royals here in the fifth with 1 out, nobody on for Alex Gordon. He takes strike 1 from Danny Salazar. Gordon 0 for 2 today. Struck out in the first inning, flew out to center in the third. Gordon 1 for 5 now in this weekend series. Didn't play on Friday night. Salazar ahead in the count. Indians return home tomorrow to take on the Minnesota Twins, the first of a 4-game series. 7 o'clock is first pitch. We're with you at 6:30 on Indians Live. A swing and a miss. So Danny Salazar records his 3rd strikeout. 2 down here in the 5th inning.
It's going to be our Circle K strikeout on the changeup from Salazar. You can see way out in front was Gordon. He struck him out the first time on a good fastball down the way. Here's the changeup. And you can see how far out in front Gordon was. So 3rd strikeout, 2nd out in the 5th here.
So here's Lorenzo Cain, who got the rally started last inning with an infield single. Yeah, he went too far there, says Paul Nauert, strike 1.
You talk about Kansas City heading out on the road, and Minnesota coming to Cleveland. Then Minnesota will go home for the last 3 games against these Kansas City Royals.
Santana almost made a leaping catch of that line drive, but it's into right field for a base hit. And Lorenzo Cain is 3 for 3 today.
He did that in the first inning. He went the other way. He got one past Santana on his left side down the line. This time he goes into the hole and he slaps one the other way. So he has 3 singles today. Look at that. That was really a good pitch by Salazar. That's a better job of hitting there by Lorenzo Cain. 7th hit. Cain has 3 of them, but 2 outs now and that runner on first base.
Cain with the average up to 309 now after the 3 for 3 day. Came in batting 305. What a nice year for the Royals center fielder. Here's Eric Hosmer. He had that RBI double last time up in the 4th inning. Struck out in the 1st. Indians bullpen busy again. Ryan Webb, and now he's joined by Kyle Crockett.
Back-to-back changeups here. That pretty much happened in his last at-bat where he threw him 3 straight changeups. And then he threw him that one fastball that was 98. That's what he hit the double on down the left field line.
Salazar closing in on 100 pitches today.
There's a good changeup. Here comes a fastball, and on his last at-bat, after 3 straight changeups, he went the other way. You throw that fastball, keep it in on his hands, make him really work those hands in. They'll try and get after it. It's tough to catch up to 96 when you're going inside. That pitch was 98 away that he hit. There you go.
Ground to second. Kipnis throws out Hosmer, and the Royals are retired here in the 5th inning. We move to the 6th. The Indians still down 2-0. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag STO Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. There's Courtney. And today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen made for Danny Duffy of the Royals. He comes into a no-hitter.
Well, yeah, I mean, Young did his job. 5 innings, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and 0s across the board. Danny Duffy, the left-hander. The Indians have had success against him, though, on the year. You can see he's 7-8. His last start in Cleveland, that's what pushed him to the bullpen. He's coming on to face 8-9-1 in the lineup, so we'll see. He won't be on for long, though, because they're getting ready. As we said, you play the Kansas City Royals, they can turn the game into a 6 or a 7-inning ball game in a hurry, and that's what we have right now. Duffy pitched 2/3 of an inning and had a walk in game 1 of this series on Friday night.
So Jose Ramirez will swing around and bat from the right side of the plate against Duffy. He's 0 for 1. So he hit it well to right center, but Kane tracked it down back in the 3rd inning.
Yes, he did. That we thought it was extra bases.
Pops that one up. Hosmer shading the sun. 1 out.
Well, Chris Young, he pitched to the elements. He's a fly ball pitcher. He did have, as I mentioned, a couple of strikeouts, but very few ground outs. But then a lot of fly balls to the big part of the park. He rolled over on one there, and a lot of easy pop outs. A couple of balls that were hit fine, went to the deep part of the alleys. They ran him down, so they couldn't ask for anything more out of this start today that Chris Young gave them.
Yep, 5 innings, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts for Young. Here's Roberto Perez, a strikeout victim in the 3rd inning. Well, the Indians got plenty of offense the first couple of nights. 6 runs on Friday night, 9 runs last night, but nothing here into the 6th inning. Perez ahead in the count here. Perez 0 for 2 with the walk against Duffy in his career. And that one got some black on the outside corner. Jason Kipnis on deck. Indians still looking for their first hit today. Perez called out on strikes.
Second strikeout for Perez today, but that looked like a nice backdoor breaking ball on the outside corner. Look at him. He starts it well off the plate and it comes in, and Perez thought it was going to catch the outside, but pretty good pitch right there with 2 strikes.
Third strikeout for Royals pitching today. The first for Duffy. Back to the top of the order we go, and Jason Kipnis struck out in the first inning, flew out to left in the 4th. Mike Moustakas is playing in front of the bag at third. It's 1-1 now to Jason Kipnis. The Indians this year 25-26 in day games. The offense struggling here today after a good couple of nights here at Kauffman Stadium the previous 2. Two and 2 to Kipnis. Kipnis down on strikes, and for the 5th time today, the Indians go 3 up, 3 down. We move to the bottom of the 6th. Kansas City still in the lead, 2-0. Not. I'm Al Pulowski, bottom of the 6th inning. In for Matt Underwood today, who's ill. Royals have a 2-0 lead. Danny Salazar with 98 pitches will begin the 6th inning, facing Salvador Perez. It'll be hitters 5, 6, and 7 for KC today. Moustakas and Rios will follow Perez to the plate. Salazar delivers strike 1.
Bullpen ready. Out for the Indians. Looks like Crockett and Webb.
They've been up for a while. Meanwhile, Salazar jumps ahead of Perez. Salvador 1 for 2 today. A ground out to second and a single on his card. Single came back in the 4th inning. Put runners at first and third with nobody out. And Mike Moustakas would knock in the runner from third with a fielder's choice. To shallow left. Brantley in, Lindor out. It'll be Michael Brantley. 1 out here in the 6th inning. And here comes Terry Francona. So that will be the end of the day for Danny Salazar. Mike Moustakas coming to the plate. It'll be Kyle Crockett, the left-hander. We'll tell you more about him when we return. Bottom of the 6th here in KC. Royals lead it 2-0. Rick, we have plenty happening in prime time tonight on Sports Time Ohio.
Tell me about it.
Well, nobody has an opinion like Bruce Drennan. We know that. Get his thoughts on today's Indians and Browns games tonight at 7 on Drennan Live. That's followed by Jimmy Hanlon inside the golf zone at 9 as he puts a wrap on the PGA's FedEx playoff race right here on Sports Time Ohio.
Very nice. And we're heading home for the last time.
We might be able to catch the end of Jimmy's show. New pitcher for the Tribe is Kyle Crockett. He'll face Mike Moustakas. This might be his only hitter he faces, as Ryan Webb is still up in the Tribe bullpen. And the righty Alex Rios on deck. Moustakas 0 for 2 today. A ground out to first and a ground out to second. Does have the RBI though. Crockett gets ahead of Moustakas here, 0-2. Moustakas 1 for 6 in the series. Once again, that shift on for Moustakas.
Outfield straight away, but they're playing him to pull on the infield.
Yeah, third base, as you see, wide open. On a swing and a miss, and the tag by Perez. Fourth strikeout today for Indians pitching, the first for Kyle Crockett. And here comes Tito. So that'll be Kyle's only batter he faces. Does the job. And Ryan Webb will come on with 2 outs. And nobody on base here in the 6th inning to face Alex Rios. So as Webb takes his final warm-up pitches, we once again will step aside. 2-0 KC. Bottom of the 6th inning here in Kansas City. Brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. We know Jensen will be a part of the show. We may have Dave. We may have me. Might we have Arch as well?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's coming up after today's game. Yes, Ryan Webb is the new Indians pitcher.
You and Jensen, baby.
Well, numbers on Webb this year. Pretty nice pickup for the Tribe. Back in April. Had him on waivers.
Well, we'll see if he can get Rios and make it a 1-2-3 inning. A Salazar Crockett Webb inning.
Salazar retired Perez to begin the 6th. And Kyle Crockett came on, struck out Mike Moustakas. Now Rios against Webb. 2-0 KC. Good breaking ball there from Ryan Webb. Rios today 0 for 2. Flew out to right. Popped out in foul ground to Carlos Santana. Last time up in the 4th inning. He's down to the count here 0-2. Rios just 1 for 9 in this series. He's played all 3 games. Went 0 for 4 last night after collecting the only hit of the game for Kansas City on Friday night against Carlos Carrasco. And he strikes out here on 3 pitches. So Ryan Webb comes out of the pen and collects the Indians' 5th strikeout. We head to the 7th, still 2-0 Royals.
Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable.
We head to the 7th inning here in KC. The Royals still have not surrendered a hit, and we'll see their third pitcher today, Ryan Madson.
Yeah, we're getting into the strength of the Kansas City Royals now. Probably be Madson, Herrera, and Davis. Now that we're into the 7th, the Indians still without a hit. They had 20 hits in the first 2 games, 8 hits in game 1, 12 hits yesterday. They have 1 walk, and that was Brantley back in the 4th inning.
You'll see Lindor, Brantley. Lindor lays down a nice bunt. There's your first hit of the day for the Cleveland Indians.
There you go. There's your start. People booing because they have a no-hitter going. Well, you're trying to win a ball game. It's a 2-0 ball game. You need base runners. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. He lays down a beauty. He beats Mike Moustakas right there, so they get their leadoff man aboard. They get their first hit. Now that brings their tying run to the plate.
So here's Michael Brantley. For the first time today, the Indians have their leadoff batter aboard. Brantley ahead in the count here. Michael Brantley today hit the ball deep to center field in the first inning, over 400 feet. Kane, though, was able to get back and make the catch. He walked in the 4th, stole a base, but died at second. Up until Lindor's bunt, Brantley was the only other base runner today for the Tribe. So Chris Young went 5 hitless innings. Danny Duffy pitched a hitless inning in the 6th. And now Ryan Madson here in the 7th. If you're wondering why Young was removed in the 5th inning, his last start came in late July. He had been pitching out of the bullpen, so he was on a pitch count. And he was removed for just under 70 pitches.
Good changeup. You know, that's a 2-0 count, and you're looking for the fastball. Madson gets it up into the 90s. And you can see a changeup right there has Michael Brantley out in front. You don't see that. You don't see him out in front too often.
Brantley checks his swing there. Now the count 3-1. Keep Lindor close. So the last Kansas City no-hitter was by Brett Saberhagen on August 26th of '91 against the White Sox. That will still be their most recent, though the Royals flirted with one for a while today. Ball 4 to Michael Brantley. So the first 2 hitters reach here in the 7th inning for the Tribe, and now they've got something going.
Yes, they do. Tying runs aboard. Nobody out.
Carlos Santana lined out to right back in the 2nd inning. Grounded out to second in the 4th. Checks his swing, but it's called a strike.
Well, in the short time, Santana 2 for 2 off Ryan Madson. And this is the big at-bat in the game right here for the Indians.
So can Carlos remain perfect against Ryan Madson? He's batting .257 with runners in scoring position. He's 1 for 9 in this series with a triple and 3 runs batted in. But he's down in the count here.
You see him, but Madsen likes to stay into left-handers with that fastball. Doesn't give him much swinging room. And then, he'll stay in there, get you looking in there, and if he has to go away, he's got a very good changeup that he can put on the outside part of the plate if he wants to.
Hits that one deep to right. Rios going back. On the track, near the wall, he'll make the catch. Lindor will tag and move to third as Brantley retreats to first. So Carlos gave it a ride, but he's the first out.
That was the one, the changeup, but Santana took a little bit of sting out of his bat. You see, he kept it back and hit it, but just didn't hit it on the sweet spot of the bat. Rios tracks it down on the track. Lindor able to tag up. The double play still in order here at first and third, and they get their first out, but the Indians now with a chance to get on the board.
So Chisenhall the batter. Lonnie's 0 for 2 today. He lined out to center in the second inning, popped out to third in the fifth. Chisenhall batting .275 with runners in scoring position. He also comes to the plate like Santana, 1 for 9 in this series. Infield, a double play depth. His first pitch swinging, fouls it out of play. So Lonnie has delivered more times than not with runners on third and less than 2 outs. Can he do it again here? It's it right back to the pitcher, Madsen. It's a double play, maybe. Runner safe at first. Here comes Lindor. He's safe at home. How about that?
I can't believe that.
So Madsen makes the catch. Brantley was frozen a good 10 to 15 feet off the bag, and his throw to first, in which it appeared he had time, was wide to Hosmer, who couldn't tag Brantley.
I thought he tagged him. First of all, that's going to be a sacrifice fly,
yeah.
Isn't it? It's a line drive right at him. He had him off first base. And now Hosmer getting back. He threw it before he could get back there and threw it wide. It didn't look like he tagged Brantley. I guess they're going to look at it.
Now Ned Yost is out. He wants him to look at something. Let's look at it here. Well, it appeared he missed Brantley.
That was hard to tell right there. I got to look at it again. That's heads up by Lindor coming home as he threw to first base. They tried to appeal at third base. They said no, he was there. It's all going to be on the tag. Did he get Brantley? It's hard to tell. The crowd here thinks they did. I don't know. I can't tell.
Here's an. How about
Look
this?
at Lindor never tagged up.
Right.
So they're going to appeal that maybe and go to third base.
Well, they did initially.
I know it, and he said safe,
right.
but he never tagged up.
So is that what they're challenging?
They could be. I'll tell you what. Whether it's the tag or not at first, but I thought they threw it down to third. They stepped on the base. The umpire said
Correct.
no.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, what was he watching? He never went back and touched third base.
Well, great job by our crew getting it all angles there. And they're challenging the play at first base.
Well, he never. I don't think you could. I don't know if they could challenge that one.
Well, he's safe, obviously, at first, as we saw.
Now he's coming back out. Now, you see, they know they haven't tagged up at third base.
He's going to ask him if he can now challenge at third.
He's talking to the crew chief, Dana DeMute.
And if he can challenge that, obviously he's going to be out.
He's asking, well, how can you challenge 2 plays at once? They can't.
Nope.
Boy, the Indians catch a break there. They already challenged that at third base, and the umpire at third said no. He tagged up. He never, ever went back and touched. Here's your split screen. He went back, but never all the way back, and he goes home once he sees him throw behind him. It was a bad throw by Matson to first base, and Lindor scores. They appealed. Now they're going to appeal at third. Let's see.
Wait, can you
hold
appeal
on?
twice?
No. See, Ned Yost is going out to ask the crew chief.
By the way, that scoring will now officially go as a line out to the pitcher, and then an error on the pitcher.
I'll tell you what,
Moustakas
Moustakas is yelling at the third base umpire right now, Mike Estabrook, because they're not going to let him appeal it. And they are right. They have a legitimate beef.
Correct. Now, we showed you Lindor clearly never went back to the bag.
Well, they already appealed it, and they said safe. So the third base umpire must not have seen it. He's going to go in and talk to the home plate umpire here. Let's see. Now they're going to appeal it. Now the crew chief comes over there and says, we're going to look at third base.
All right. Well,
if that's the case, then yes, it will. That'll be inning over. Now Francona wants an explanation. Rightfully so. They're going to go over and talk to him, but the crew chief is going on to the headset with the third base umpire Estabrook.
Well, they already appealed it.
I've never seen this. This might be a first where you have two plays that's reviewable in one situation.
And the umpire at third base, Mike Estabrook, initially said safe, clearly, and they're showing the replay here.
Well, now they just showed that Lindor never came to third, and look at Moustakas. He's walking off the field. Look at, they think they can already walk off. I got to see this, how it goes. I want to hear the explanation to this. This is going to be interesting. Look at the home plate umpire. He's yelling at that team to say, get out on the field.
Over to the Royals dugout, telling them they got to get on the field.
Well, if they look at it and that's a challengeable play, then he's going to be out. Here they come. Let's see. They're talking about it. Let's see. They're going back to Ned Yost now and explain something, so they must not be going to call him out. See, they're not going to call him out because they're explaining now. You have some explaining to do.
Well, they haven't made the call since the next review.
I'm telling you, I don't think they're going to call him out now if they're explaining it to the manager. He's going right back in, and they're going to go over and talk unless they have to huddle and make the call. Oh, boy, I don't know what's going on here.
Alan Tito's on the top step of the dugout. He would like an explanation as well.
Well, they're talking to see if anybody saw that if Lindor went back to tag up. Well, it should be the guy right in front of it.
Here comes Yost. He's going to.
That play happened so quickly. That line drive back to Madsen. He looked at first and saw that Brantley was well off first base. Nobody really looked at Lindor.
And he had plenty of time. He rushed his throw, and that forced Hosmer to dive for it, and then he couldn't get Brantley. So if you're just joining us, what happened was they reviewed initially the play at first with Brantley, and they called him safe, which was the correct call. They're now reviewing to see if Lindor went back to the bag to tag up on the line out to the pitcher, which he did not. However, they appealed, and initially Mike Estabrook called him safe. They then went back to the headset to have that reviewed. And now they're discussing what the outcome should be.
You know, these guys, Kansas City's yelling, look, they showed it right on the scoreboard. He never went back. Now they're, oh boy, we've never seen anything like this.
So now they're going to talk to Tito.
I will say this. They did throw back to third base and asked for the appeal before any of this even took place.
Correct.
And
Kansas City did everything
no.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mike Estabrook called it safe. We saw that.
Well, I'd love to hear the explanation of this, and I don't know if we'll ever get it today. Well, I see where Matson's still throwing until they make a decision. He's staying loose. Are the Indians on the board, or is the inning over is what I want to know. He's out. They made that call.
Well, the bottom line is they got it correct.
Yes. They got it right, and we can show you the replay. You'll see the play at first base where the throw was wide, and they looked at that, and he didn't tag Brantley. How he got back, I don't know, because Matson's throw was way offline. Hosmer tagged him with the glove. He had the ball in his hand, and he didn't tag him. And then here's Lindor going back, never touched third base to tag up and come home. And they did appeal that. They go to home, and then here comes the appeal. They're going to throw it down to third base. He steps on and watch the umpire. There he said safe, so he didn't even see it.
So that's how it went down. The Indians do not score here in the 7th. It is the 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Inning in Kansas City. Indians down 2-0. Ryan Webb will continue to pitch for the Tribe. Well, we just had an explanation given by the press box PA announcer here in Kansas City. Here's what happened last inning when the two plays were reviewed. The play at first base where Hosmer did not tag Brantley, and that play, the call was confirmed safe. That was the Royals review. The play at third base where Lindor did not tag up, in which he initially was called safe, and it was overturned, was the crew chief review.
Okay. And the bottom line, and ultimately they did get it right, because Lindor never did go back to tag the bag.
Correct.
So it ends up being a double play on a line drive. It was just a weird play all the way around. Kansas City ended up lucking out, and they get out of that inning, and they keep it a 0 on the board.
So you also take back the error on pitcher Ryan Madson, as it now will go 1-3-2 on the double play.
1-3-2-5.
That's right. You had to throw it back to third. I'll add the extra number. 1-3-2-5. So still 2-0 Kansas City. Christian Colon the batter. He'll be followed by Dyson and Escobar. The Indians with still only 1 hit today. Kansas City with 2 runs on 7 hits. Royals have left 5 on base. Indians have left 2 on, and Ryan Webb, an easy comebacker, retires Colon 1-3. So that's the first out of the inning. Gerard Dyson will come to the plate. He's 0 for 2. But you're right, Rick. Since review has been instituted, that was probably the strangest sequence of events that I've seen.
We've had some strange ones, but that one was pretty weird.
And as you said, bottom line, they got it right all the way around, and that's what the replay review is there for. So
correct.
Ultimately, it was a success as far as getting the calls right. Dyson a fly out and a ground out today. Jose Ramirez in on the infield grass at third. Kipnis charging. Dyson has speed, and the throw goes wide. Could go as an infield single. Yep, they're going to give him an infield single. So he's aboard with one out here in the 7th inning.
Now the throw way off line here by Kipnis. I mean, it wasn't even close. He knew he had to get rid of it because Dyson was running, but nowhere near Santana. So that is an infield single. 8 hits now for Kansas City, and you will see this guy off and running if he can get a jump, no question.
He's 26 for 29 in stolen bases this year. Trails only his teammate Lorenzo Cain, who has 28. Dyson tied with Oakland's Billy Burns for 26 stolen bases, 3rd in the American League. He has 146 in his career, 9th in Royals history, 4 shy of Tom Goodwin for 8th. And Ryan Webb will keep a close eye on him.
Well, you have to. They have a 2-run lead. They're going to try with 1 out and get him into scoring position here. You've got Escobar back to the top of the lineup. They can afford to take a chance. They have 99 stolen bases on the year as a team. That's 2nd in the league.
Escobar 1 for 3 today. Lined out in the 1st inning to center, singled in the 3rd, flew out to left field in the 5th. Time called at home plate by Escobar. Escobar 2 for 4 in his career against Ryan Webb. The only other hitter in Kansas City's lineup with 2 hits against Webb was Alex Rios. He struck out last inning. Previous to that strikeout, Rios was a perfect 2 for 2 against Webb. Dyson leaning. He's going to stay put, though. First pitch to Escobar is inside for a ball.
Yeah, he'll take a peek and try and get an idea of the move of Webb and what his slide step does. You have a guy at the plate, though, that can also put the bat on the ball. Sort of quick pitched him there. He's talking to the umpire at first base right now, saying he didn't stop.
Zach McAllister loosening for the Tribe in the bullpen. Webb is going to make sure that Dyson keeps his shirt dirty. On the ground to second. This will be a tough play. Kipnis to first. He gets Escobar by a step. Good play by Kip to get the second out as Dyson moves to second base. Let's take a look at yesterday's great clip of the game. The Indians with some exceptional bullpen work. They didn't give up a run. Jeff Manship, 2 perfect innings, the 6th and the 7th. He went 6 up, 6 down. Jeff Manship now with an ERA below 1 for the Tribe out of the bullpen this year. He has been a nice find to pitch those middle innings. Ryan Webb has also been a nice find, pitching middle relief. Got the last out of the 6th inning and now is trying to get out of the 7th unscathed. Dyson's at second base, though, for Alex Gordon with 2 outs.
finds that one past Santana into right field, a base hit. Dyson almost tripped around third, maintained his balance, and now will trot in. And it's an RBI single with 2 outs for Alex Gordon and a 3-0 Kansas City lead.
Well, Gordon didn't waste no time. It looked like he got a high sinker. He sure did. It was belt high, middle in, and he turned on it. So the 2-out base hit extends the Kansas City lead to 3-0. And you see Dyson almost went down. He stays on his feet and scores. So a couple of singles in this inning, and they increase the lead. Callaway going to come out to the mound.
So he'll talk to Webb with Lorenzo Cain coming to the plate. Cain 0 for 2 in his career against Webb, but he's 3 for 3.
McAllister's coming in. Did Mickey Callaway make a change?
Here comes McAllister.
I didn't see this. Look at now McAllister realized he's on the infield. He's heading back. They called him. That's Mickey Callaway.
Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, looked back and he said, "I didn't call for you."
He was all the way into the infield.
Well, he got a little running in.
What happened? And Chisenhall was chasing him down, saying, "Where are you going?"
Okay, I'll go back to the bullpen. So Webb remains in the game for Lorenzo Cain. Runner at first base with 2 outs. Cain is perfect today, 3 for 3. All 3 hits are singles. Cain ahead in the count here, 2-0. Eric Hosmer would be next. Ryan Webb just trying to keep this one close. Houston is beating Texas 3-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning in Houston. Minnesota has already beaten Detroit today 7-1. Mariners lead the Angels 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Games of interest in the American League wild card. Two and 2 to Lorenzo Cain. And a good curveball from Ryan Webb for strike 3. So he gets out of it. The Royals, however, add another run. We'll go to the 8th. 3-0 KC.
likeness and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
We head to the top of the 8th inning here in KC, and a new pitcher for the Royals. Herrera has entered.
This is their new 8th inning guy now that Holland is down and out for the season, who was their closer, and Davis moves back, who was their setup man. So everybody pushes back when Madsen moves into the 7th inning. And he had a strange inning. He did go the 1 inning, gave up a hit, a walk, and got the big double play ball.
Paulo Orlando, the new right fielder for Kansas City. He replaces Alex Rios. We'll see hitters 6, 7, and 8 for the Tribe. Almonte, Johnson, and Ramirez. So far, the Indians with only 1 hit today. Came in the last inning when the Indians put runners at first and second with nobody out but couldn't score. However, it was not the fault of Lonnie Chisenhall, who with runners at first and third and 1 out tattooed it right back to the pitcher. Made the catch, and ultimately, after a couple of different reviews, turned into a double play. Monte fouls that one off for strike 1. So in the Royals' final home game, they draw 36,339. They have just over 2.7 million for total attendance this year, averaging over 33,000 a game.
Well, very nice.
Almonte to short. Escobar gets him by a step, 1 out. October means baseball, and FS1 continues to be your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It all begins October 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Johnson, the batter, with 1 out. He's 0 for 2 today. Couple of flyouts. Kelvin Herrera's last outing this past week, September 23rd against Seattle. Went 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, but didn't allow a run.
That's because they.
Chris Johnson trying to find a way aboard here for the Indians as they try to cut into this 3-0 Kansas City lead. Well, Carlos Carrasco one-hit the Royals on Friday night with 15 strikeouts. Royals committee trying to do that here today. We've seen Chris Young, Danny Duffy, Ryan Madsen, and now Kelvin Herrera. They've allowed only 1 hit. Johnson to center. Back goes King. Still going back, and an over-the-shoulder catch for King.
He can go get him, boy. That one was, he looked like a wide receiver running back, going up and making a catch right before he hits the fence. Right in stride. Gets to the wall, braces himself, and gets it back in for the 2nd out. Well, if you're a pitcher and you give up fly balls, you got to love that guy being behind you.
So 2 outs and nobody on for Jose Ramirez, who's 0 for 2 today. After collecting 5 hits in his first 10 at-bats of this series on Friday and Saturday night. Now the shadows begin to creep in at home plate. Ramirez with a shot to the gap at right center back in the third inning that Lorenzo Cain tracked down, robbing him of extra bases. Then in the sixth inning, he popped out to the first baseman. Two and one to the Indians' third baseman. Now the count evens at 2-2. Ramirez drives that one to right, but it's hooking foul. He was just a little bit out in front of that one. Ramirez has hit the ball well in this series and on this road trip.
Yeah, he's had a very good series here in Kansas City.
Stays alive. Ramirez overall 8 for 21 for the trip, including today. 2 doubles, a triple, home run, couple of walks, 3 runs batted in, and 6 runs scored. Stays alive again.
Fouling off the fastball. That's why I think one time when Herrera tried to throw him that off-speed pitch at the break ball, he hit it down the line and hit it deep. He's speeding up his bat. He's fouling off some good fastballs to stay alive and live for another pitch.
It's that one in the air to right center. Lorenzo Cain makes the third out. Indians 3 up, 3 down in the 8th. Still 3-0 Kansas City. Three nothing Kansas City here over the Tribe. Bottom of the 8th inning. Some changes to tell you about. First up on the hill, new pitcher for the Tribe. It's left-hander Giovanni Soto.
Soto coming on for the 6th time. He's got Hosmer, Perez, and Moustakas, 2 out of the 3 left-handers.
And the Indians have a new right fielder. Michael Martinez is in for Lonnie Chisenhall. And due up for Kansas City here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Hosmer, Perez, and Moustakas, middle third of the batting order. Hosmer with a key RBI double back in the 4th inning to plate the Royals' first run. Soto was called up when the rosters were expanded.
We did say he had 5 appearances. 2 out of his 5 appearances, he's thrown 1 pitch.
Yeah.
He's been able to get the out, and that has been it.
The lefties are 2 for 7 against him. Righties are 1 for 3. Soto was the player the Indians received in the Johnny Peralta deal in that trade with Detroit. He came over as a low A prospect, began his Indians organizational career in Lake County. 2-2 here to Eric Hosmer. Lee and Armstrong are getting loose in the Tribe bullpen. Hosmer remains alive. Well, Rick, when you look at this series for the Indians overall, you would say pretty good one if you could come to Kansas City and take 2 of 3. The problem is with the Indians 3 back in the wild card going into today, and Houston winning right now in the 8th inning 3-1. A loss today and you're 4 back, and you've got 7, maybe 8, depending on that Detroit game left to play, and that's it.
Like we say, they got to win every game.
Hosmer is out 5-3. Well, just like we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Let's take a look at Hosmer's key at bat here in the 4th inning.
Well, he almost did us a favor. I wish he would have put it in play. He gets down to 2 strikes, but there was the 1 fastball and the 3 changeups that he sees in that at bat, and it was able to get Kansas City on the board. They ended up scoring another run after that in that inning. He came around to score, and then they added 1 in the 7th. But, you know, as far as the Indians offense, it's exactly what Carrasco did to the Royals on Friday night. He gave up 1 hit, and if you look at it, the Indians' only hit today is an infield bunt.
1 out for Salvador Perez. He's 1 for 3 today with a single back in the 4th inning. Well, the offense had been so good. 6 runs on Friday night, 9 runs last night, but today only that 1 hit. (3-0) to the Royals catcher. An Astros game. It's now 3-2 Houston over Texas. They moved to the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, and the Angels took a 2-1 lead over Seattle in the bottom of the 5th.
Twins already a winner today over Detroit, 7-1. So the scores we're watching closely in the wild card race. The way it's shaping up right now, if things hold this way, the Indians will be 4 back. Grounded to third, Ramirez. Couple of skips. On target with the throw to first, 2 down. That'll bring Mike Moustakas to the plate. He's 0 for 3 today. He did have the RBI ground out back in the 4th inning. Looking ahead to the 9th inning for the Tribe, they have hitters 9, 1, and 2 due up. That would be Roberto Perez, Jason Kipnis, and Francisco Lindor. More than likely facing Wade Davis. Ground to short. That's Lindor, the shortstop, on the second base side of second base to throw him out. 3 up, 3 down for the Royals in the 8th. Last chance for the Tribe next. All right, fellas, looking forward to that after the game. Judd and Jensen right here on Sports Time Ohio. Then later tonight, Drennan Live, the Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon. So keep it here on Sports Time Ohio. New pitcher for Kansas City, Wade Davis.
Well, a guy that's been great for the Royals the last 2 years. You can see he's 8-1. He's 13 out of 14 in save opportunities. 72 strikeouts in his 63 2/3 just opposition. 147 batting average. So this is a tall order for this offense here with only 3 outs to go.
And you'll have the shadows to deal with as well. So it almost splits the distance between home plate and the pitcher's mound. Roberto Perez takes a look at strike one. Wade Davis now in the closing role with Greg Holland out for the season. And many thought that Wade Davis was even a better pitcher than Greg Holland, but that had been working so well for so long. Why change it with Davis in the 8th and Holland in the 9th? And now Davis gets the chance to close for the rest of this season and into the postseason. He's ahead of Roberto Perez, 0-2. Roberto struck out both times up previously today. Stays alive. Kipnis is on deck. He'll be followed by Lindor here in the 9th inning. Tribe has only 1 hit today. That came back in the 7th inning. A bunt single by Francisco Lindor. The Indians, who have scored 15 runs in the first 2 games of this series, just haven't gotten it going here in the 3rd game. Perez again stays alive with a foul straight back. Out of the 65 first batters faced by Wade Davis, he's retired 53 of those. 13 for 14 in saves this year.
That's a great cutter. That's his pitch, his bread and butter, that cutter. He can point to the outside part of the plate. Perez, no luck today. He goes down for the third time. And look at the cutter. That's the cutter. If you can maybe foul that off or do something with it. He also has the breaking ball. He's got an explosive fastball. So he's got 3 pitches he can attack you with, and he's got excellent control.
5th strikeout today for Royals pitching. Now Kipnis with 1 out. Kip 0 for 3 with a couple of Ks. In the air to left. Dyson moving over and won't get there. That'll bounce off the wall for extra bases. Kipnis with the double here in the 9th inning with 1 out.
I don't know if Dyson took a wrong angle or he thought it was going over there. I know Kipnis hit it well, and it went down the line, and it was slicing. And it was a fastball, a 4-seamer. But look at Dyson. He goes over to cut it off. It gets over his head. But it'll go as a double for Kipnis, his 41st double of the year.
There are some shadows over there. Perhaps he lost it as it went through those. But another double for Jason Kipnis. Now Francisco Lindor, who has the only other Tribe hit today. The bunt single back in the 7th. He's at the plate. Key for him is just trying to get on base so you get the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, that's the important thing. You're right. Another base runner.
Boy, nice job by Kipnis too, going the other way with that pitch. Lindor tried to do the same but hits it foul.
That pitch that Davis threw to Kipnis was elevated a little bit. It helped him go that way with it. He ended up driving it a lot farther than he wanted him to.
Lindor down in the count. Michael Brantley is on deck. No runs on 2 hits today for the Tribe. 3 runs on 9 hits today for KC. Neither team has committed an error. Royals have left 6 on base. The Indians have left 2. Here's the 2-2 pitch from closer Wade Davis. Swing and a miss. Second strikeout for Davis. 2 out here in the 9th inning. Let's take a look back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Well, Chris Young threw 5 no-hit innings. Danny Salazar cruised through the first 3, ran into some trouble in the 4th, made it to the 6th. But ultimately, Kansas City with a 3-run lead here in the 9th inning with 2 outs and 1 on for Michael Brantley. This crowd comes to its feet here in Kansas City, their final home game of the season. Of course, they'll be playing here in October. Michael Brantley just trying to extend the baseball game. Fouls the first one into the seats. Brantley 0 for 1 with a couple of walks today. He also had a stolen base back in the 4th inning. In the 1st inning, he hit the ball well, over 400 feet to the warning track in center. Lorenzo Cain was able to track it down. Brantley to right, but foul. And into the seats. 0-2 to Brantley as Wade Davis looks to strike out the side. And the Royals look to avoid the sweep. Astros have added another run in the 8th inning. They now lead Texas 4-2 as they head to the 9th in Houston. The Angels still lead the Mariners 2-1. They're in the bottom of the 6th in Anaheim. Crowd on their feet. Brantley to left center. Kane had him played that way, going over, and Dyson is there as well. And it's Dyson who made the catch. Or was it Kane? Either way, it's an out. Nope, it was Dyson. And that's the final out of the ball game. So Kansas City avoids the sweep. The Indians take the loss. They're back at the 500 mark, and at the moment, 3.5 back from the second wild card, awaiting the outcome of the Houston game. And this final away game of the season for Cleveland. Now it's time to go home and play 7 straight at Progressive Field to finish it out.
Well, a tough ball game. I mean, there wasn't much offense here today. They started Chris Young, the veteran, went 5 innings, gave up 1 walk, and he had 2 strikeouts. Did not allow a hit. He went with the elements of this big ballpark, let his outfielders run it down. And again, Kansas City had that 1 inning where they got the 2 runs in the 4th inning. They had their first 3 reach. And that was really all they needed today because the Indians' offense was shut down.
Royals a winner today, 3-0. We'll take a break. We'll come back with final thoughts in just a little while. Indians Live coming up right here on Sports Time Ohio.